Your last success is your biggest enemy. I need you to hear that again. Your last success is your biggest enemy, not your failure, not your critics, not your past. Your success, the very thing you celebrated, the very thing you posted about, the very thing that made people clap for you, that thing has become the prison you're living in right now. You don't believe me? I can see it in your eyes. You're thinking, how can success be an enemy? I worked so hard for it. Yes, you did. And that's exactly why it's dangerous. Because now you're managing a memory instead of creating a future. You're protecting a reputation instead of pursuing a destiny. You're defending what you built instead of building what you were born for. Listen to me carefully. The cemetery is the richest place on earth, not because of the gold buried there, not because of the diamonds on the caskets, but because of the dreams that died with people who got comfortable. People who achieved something once and spend the rest of their lives talking about it. People who climbed one mountain and decided that was enough. People who wrote one chapter and called it a book. Your last success taught you a dangerous lesson. It taught you that you've arrived. It whispered to you that you are special. It convinced you that you can now rest. And rest became rust. And rust became death. Death of vision. Death of hunger. Death of purpose. I've seen it happen 1,000 times. A man starts a business. It grows. People celebrate him. He's on top of the world. 5 years later, that same business is choking him. Why? Because he's still running it the way he ran it when he started. He's using yesterday's strategy for tomorrow's battle. He's fighting new wars with old weapons. And he wonders why he's losing. A woman writes a song. It becomes a hit. Everyone knows her name. 10 years later, she's still singing that same song. At every concert, at every event, that song became her identity. And identity became her prison. She stopped creating because she started protecting. She stopped exploring because she started explaining. She stopped becoming because she started being. This is the trap. Success makes you significant, and significance makes you scared. Scared to try again, scared to fail again, scared to look foolish again. So you build a monument around your achievement and you become the tour guide of your own museum. You spend your life showing people what you did instead of doing what you were born to do. The lion doesn't celebrate yesterday's kill. He wakes up hungry. The eagle doesn't brag about yesterday's flight. It spreads its wings and flies again. Nature understands something we've forgotten, that survival demands evolution, that greatness demands movement, that purpose demands progression. But you got stuck. You achieved something beautiful and you grabbed it with both hands and you held on so tight that you couldn't reach for anything else. Your hands are full of what was, and because they're full, they can't receive what is. I'm not saying your success wasn't real. I'm not saying your achievement wasn't significant. I'm saying it wasn't final. It was a chapter, not the book. It was a step, not the destination. It was a sign that you're capable, not proof that you're complete. You know what your problem is? You confused a milestone with a finish line. You thought the blessing was the destination when it was just fuel for the journey. You thought the applause meant stop when it meant go. You thought the promotion was the peak when it was just a platform. And now you're comfortable. Oh, that word, comfortable. The most dangerous word in the human vocabulary. Comfort kills more dreams than failure ever will. Failure wakes you up. Failure makes you hungry. Failure makes you move. But comfort makes you settle. Comfort makes you stop. Comfort makes you believe the lie that you've done enough. Let me tell you something about enough. Enough is a lie told by people who are tired. Enough is an excuse dressed in wisdom. Enough is what you say when you've lost your vision. Because if you knew what you were created to be, you would never say you've done enough. If you saw what's inside you, you would never say you've achieved enough. If you understood your purpose, you would never say you've given enough. The manufacturer doesn't make the product and then wonder what it's for. The manufacturer designs with intention. Every feature has a function. Every component has a reason. And when the manufacturer looks at the product, the manufacturer knows exactly what it's capable of, exactly what it was built to do, exactly what its maximum performance looks like. You were manufactured. You didn't happen by accident. You weren't randomly assembled. You were intentionally designed with gifts you haven't used, potential you haven't tapped, purpose you haven't fulfilled. And your last success, it revealed maybe 5% of what's in you, maybe 10% if you really pushed. But you looked at that 5% and you said, this is who I am. No, that's just who you were at that level. That's just what you could do with what you knew then. But you know more now. You've seen more now. You've lived more now, which means you're capable of more now. But here's the problem. More requires risk. More requires change. More requires humility. And success made you proud. Success made you safe. Success made you an expert. And experts stop learning. Experts stop growing. Experts stop asking questions because they think they have all the answers. I'm looking at some of you right now, and you're still living off a degree you got 20 years ago. You're still dining on a business deal you closed 15 years ago. You're still talking about a project you completed 10 years ago. And you're wondering why life feels empty, why success feels hollow, why achievement feels meaningless. It's because you're breathing, but you're not living. You're existing, but you're not becoming. You're managing, but you're not creating. You turned your life into a museum, and museums are for dead things. Things that used to be alive. Things that used to move. Things that used to matter. Listen to me. The only way to honor your last success is to outgrow it. The only way to respect what you built is to build something greater. The only way to celebrate what you achieved is to achieve something higher. Because if you stop at what you did, you insult what you could do. If you camp at what you built, you disrespect what you could build. If you settle for who you were, you reject who you could become. Your last success was supposed to be a testimony, not a trophy. It was supposed to prove you're capable, not comfortable. It was supposed to increase your faith, not feed your fear. But somewhere along the way, you switched roles. You went from being a pioneer to being a preserver, from being a creator to being a curator, from being a warrior to being a historian. And here's what happens when you do that. You start measuring yourself by your past instead of your potential. You start defining yourself by what you did instead of what you could do. You start introducing yourself with old titles instead of new visions. You become that person at the party who can't stop talking about the glory days, the championship you won, the business you started, the stage you stood on, and everybody's polite, everybody nods. Everybody says, that's amazing. But inside, they're thinking, what are you doing now? Who are you becoming now? Where are you going now? Because the world doesn't care about yesterday's bread. The world is hungry for today's bread. The world doesn't celebrate past tense victories. The world celebrates present tense impact. You want to know why you feel stuck? It's because you are stuck. Stuck in a moment that's over. Stuck in a season that's past. Stuck in a version of yourself that's expired. And you can't move forward because you're holding on to what's behind. You can't climb higher because you're carrying what you should have left at the last level. The seed doesn't celebrate becoming a plant. It breaks through the ground and keeps reaching for the Sunday. The caterpillar doesn't throw a party for making a cocoon. It transforms and breaks free and flies. Nature understands that every stage is preparation for the next stage. Every level is training for the next level. Every success is simply proof that you are ready for greater responsibility. But you got distracted by the applause. You got drunk on the recognition. You got addicted to the comfort. And now you're living beneath your privilege. You're operating beneath your capacity. You're thinking beneath your calling. I need you to understand something. Your gifts are still in you. Your potential is still in you. Your purpose is still in you. But they're suffocating under the weight of your satisfaction. They're dying under the blanket of your contentment. They're screaming for expression, but you can't hear them because you're too busy replaying old victories. You know what the tragedy is? You're living like you're done when you've barely started. You're acting like you're finished when you're just getting warmed up. You're behaving like you're retiring when you're supposed to be reloading. Some of you right now are 40 years old talking about retirement. 40. You're thinking about what you're going to do when you stop working. You're planning your exit when you should be planning your expansion. You're talking about slowing down when you should be talking about scaling up. And you justify it by saying you've worked hard, you deserve rest, you've earned the right to relax. Rest, you're going to rest forever. You've got eternity to rest. But right now, while you have breath, while you have strength, while you have time, you have a responsibility to your gifts, a responsibility to your purpose, a responsibility to the people whose lives will change because you decided to keep going. Your last success wasn't just for you. It was for everyone who needs to see what you'll do next. It was for every young person watching who needs to see that success isn't the end, it's the beginning. It was for every dreamer who needs to see that you don't stop when you succeed. You multiply when you succeed, but you stopped. You hit one target and you put down the bow. You scored one goal and you walked off the field. You caught one fish and you sold the boat. And now you're shocked that life feels purposeless. Now you're surprised that success feels empty. Now you're confused why achievement didn't bring fulfillment. It's because achievement was never meant to be the destination. It was meant to be evidence. Evidence that you're on the right path. Evidence that you're using your gifts. Evidence that you're walking in purpose. The moment you make achievement the goal, you've already lost. Because you'll achieve something and then you'll spend the rest of your life trying to protect it, maintain it, defend it. And protection is the language of fear. Maintenance is the language of survival. Defense is the language of decline. You were created for expansion, not maintenance. For multiplication, not preservation. For generation, not conservation. But your last success convinced you that you've arrived. An arrival is a lie because there's no such thing as arrival. There's only transformation, only evolution, only progression. The river doesn't arrive at the ocean and stop moving. It becomes part of the ocean. It takes on a new form. It serves a new purpose. It fulfills a new function. And that's what your success was supposed to do. It was supposed to transform you into someone capable of more, someone ready for more, someone hungry for more. But instead, you built a dam. You stopped the flow. You said, this is good enough. And good enough is the enemy of great. Good enough is the thief of exceptional. Good enough is the murderer of extraordinary. Let me tell you about good enough. Good enough is what average people settle for. Good enough is what mediocre people celebrate. Good enough is what purposeless people accept. But you're not average. You're not mediocre. You're not purposeless. You're exceptional. You're extraordinary. You're anointed. You're appointed. You're assigned. And your assignment isn't complete. Your mission isn't over. Your purpose isn't fulfilled. You just finished one chapter. You just completed one assignment. You just conquered one territory. But there are more chapters to write, more assignments to complete, more territories to conquer. And I know you're tired. I know you're scared. I know you're comfortable. But comfortable is not your address. Safe is not your home. Settled is not your identity. You're a pioneer. You're a trailblazer. You're a history maker. And history makers don't retire at halftime. They don't quit at intermission. They don't stop at the first victory. Your last success proved something to you. It proved you have what it takes. It proved you can do hard things. It proved you can overcome obstacles. It proved you can turn vision into reality. And now that you know you can do it once, you have a responsibility to do it again. Better, bigger, bolder. Because there are people waiting for what you're going to create next. There are problems waiting for what you're going to solve next. There are generations waiting for what you're going to build next. But you're too busy protecting what you built yesterday to build what they need tomorrow. This is my message to you. Your last success was beautiful. Celebrate it. Your last victory was significant. Honor it. Your last achievement was impressive. Acknowledge it, but don't marry it. Don't worship it. Don't become it, because you're bigger than any one thing you've done. You're greater than any one thing you've built. You're deeper than any one thing you've achieved. You are not your success. You are the person who created that success. And if you created it once, you can create it again. Different, better, greater. But only if you're willing to let go of what was so you can grab hold of what is. Only if you're willing to leave where you are so you can go where you're supposed to be. Only if you're willing to die to who you were so you can become who you were born to be. And I'm not talking about starting over. I'm talking about leveling up. I'm not talking about abandoning your past. I'm talking about building on your past. I'm not talking about forgetting your success. I'm talking about multiplying your success. But multiplication requires movement. It requires faith. It requires courage. And right now, you're paralyzed by the fear of losing what you have. You're terrified of risking what you've built. You're scared of looking foolish again. So you stay where you are, safe, secure, stuck, and every day you stay there, a part of you dies. Every day you settle there, a gift in you suffocates. Every day you hide there, a purpose in you weeps. Because deep down, you know this isn't it. Deep down, you know there's more. Deep down, you know you were made for greater. But knowing isn't enough. Feeling isn't enough. Wanting isn't enough. You have to move. You have to risk. You have to decide. Decide that your last success was just the beginning. Decide that your best work is still ahead of you. Decide that your greatest impact is still coming. And when you make that decision, something shifts. The atmosphere changes. The heavens respond. The universe aligns. Because purpose recognizes purpose. Destiny recognizes destiny. Greatness recognizes greatness. Your last success is not your biggest achievement. It's your greatest teacher. It taught you what you're capable of. It showed you what you can do when you focus. It proved you can turn nothing into something. And now it's time to use those lessons to create something even greater. Stop looking back at what you did. Start looking forward at what you will do. Stop replaying old victories. Start creating new ones. Stop being who you were. Start becoming who you're meant to be, because your last success was never meant to define you. It was meant to refine you. It was never meant to complete you. It was meant to prepare you. It was never meant to finish you. It was meant to launch you. So get out of the prison of your past achievement. Break free from the chains of your former glory. Escape the tomb of your last success, because you're not a monument. You're a movement. You're not a memorial. You're a mission. You're not a testimony. You're a testament. And the world is waiting for what you'll build next. Waiting for what you'll create next. Waiting for what you'll become next. Your last success whispered to you, well done. Your next success is screaming at you. Come on. The question is, will you listen? Will you move? Will you rise? Or will you spend the rest of your life as a prisoner of your own achievement, a slave to your own success, a victim of your own victory? The choice is yours. But I'm telling you today, your last success is your biggest enemy if it stops you from pursuing your greatest destiny. Don't let what you did stop you from doing what you were born to do. Don't let where you've been keep you from where you're going. Don't let who you were prevent you from becoming who you are. Your last success was a comma, not a period. It was a pause, not an ending. It was a breath, not a conclusion. And now it's time to write the next sentence. Time to start the next chapter. Time to live the next level. Because you were born for more, created for more, destined for more. And more is calling. More is waiting. More is ready. The only question is, are you? Let me take you somewhere right now. Back to the beginning. Back to when you had nothing. Back to when you were hungry. Do you remember that version of yourself? The one who couldn't sleep because your dreams kept you awake? The one who worked 3 jobs because you believed in something nobody else could see? The one who was laughed at, rejected, dismissed, but kept going anyway? That person was dangerous. That person was unstoppable. That person was on fire. And then you succeeded. And success did something to you. It gave you something to lose. It gave you a reputation to protect. It gave you a comfort zone to defend. And slowly, quietly, you traded your hunger for satisfaction. You traded your fire for stability. You traded your edge for security. And now you look in the mirror and you don't recognize yourself. You see someone who's careful, someone who's cautious, someone who calculates every risk, someone who asks permission, someone who waits for approval, someone who needs validation, and you wonder what happened to the warrior you used to be. I'll tell you what happened. Your last success tamed you. It domesticated you. It turned you from a lion in the wilderness into a cat in a house. You're still powerful. You're still capable, but you're no longer dangerous. Because danger requires hunger. It requires desperation. It requires the willingness to lose everything for the chance to gain anything. And you've lost that. You've lost the edge. You've lost the fire. You've lost the hunger. Because your belly is full, your bank account is comfortable, your status is secure, and full people don't hunt. Comfortable people don't fight. Secure people don't risk. But here's the problem. The gifts inside you don't care about your comfort. The purpose inside you doesn't respect your security. The calling on your life doesn't honor your satisfaction. They're still there, still waiting, still demanding expression. And every day you ignore them, you die a little more inside. You feel it, don't you? That restlessness, that dissatisfaction, that voice in your head that keeps saying, there's more, there's more, there's more. You try to silence it. You remind yourself of everything you've accomplished. You list all your achievements. You count all your blessings. But the voice doesn't stop. Because the voice isn't about what you've done. It's about what you haven't done yet. It's about the book you haven't written, the business you haven't started, the people you haven't helped, the impact you haven't made, the legacy you haven't built. Your last success covered 5% of your assignment, maybe 10%. But what about the other 90%? What about the dreams that are still waiting? What about the vision that's still calling? What about the purpose that's still unfulfilled? You think you can ignore it? You think you can bury it under busy work and distractions and entertainment? You think you can numb it with success and status and stuff, but you can't, because purpose doesn't go away. It doesn't fade. It doesn't quit. It just gets louder and louder and louder until one day you wake up at 65 years old and you realize you spent your entire life managing what you built at 35 instead of building what you were created for. And let me tell you something about regret. Regret doesn't come from failing. Regret comes from not trying. Regret comes from playing it safe. Regret comes from choosing comfort over calling. And the most painful words in the human language are these four words. What if I had taken that risk? What if I had started that business? What if I had written that book? What if I had pursued that dream? What if I had listened to that voice? What if I had trusted that vision? What if I had followed that calling? Don't let those be your final words. Don't let comfort steal your destiny. Don't let success become your prison. Don't let your last achievement become your greatest regret. I'm looking at you right now and I see who you are, not who you were, not what you did, but who you are. And who you are is extraordinary. Who you are is powerful. Who you are is chosen. Who you are is called. Who you are is anointed. Who you are is assigned. And your assignment is bigger than anything you've accomplished so far. Your calling is deeper than anything you've achieved so far. Your purpose is wider than anything you've built so far, because you were made in the image of infinity. You were created with the DNA of eternity. You were designed with the capacity of divinity. And infinity doesn't stop. Eternity doesn't end. Divinity doesn't retire. So why are you acting like you're finished? Why are you behaving like you're complete? Why are you living like you've arrived? You haven't arrived. You've just been promoted. You've just been upgraded. You've just been positioned. Your last success wasn't your graduation. It was your promotion. It wasn't your destination. It was your preparation. It wasn't your reward. It was your training. And now you're trained. Now you're ready. Now you're equipped. Now you know what you're capable of. Now you've seen what you can do. Now you've proven what's inside you. And that proof isn't a trophy to display. It's a testimony to multiply. It's not evidence of what you were. It's evidence of what you are. And what you are is capable of infinitely more. But you have to let go. You have to release. You have to surrender. Surrender the need to be right. Surrender the need to be safe. Surrender the need to be comfortable. Surrender the identity you've built. Surrender the reputation you've crafted. Surrender the image you've created. Because that identity is too small. That reputation is too limiting. That image is too confining. You've outgrown them. You've evolved beyond them. You've been called to something higher than them. And you can't step into the new while you're clinging to the old. You can't embrace tomorrow while you're gripping yesterday. You can't become who you're meant to be while you're protecting who you were. The snake sheds its skin, not because the old skin is bad, but because the snake has grown beyond it. The skin that protected it yesterday is restricting it today. The covering that served it last season is suffocating it this season. So the snake doesn't preserve the old skin. It doesn't frame it. It doesn't worship it. It sheds it. It leaves it behind. It walks away from it. And that's what you need to do with your last success. Shed it. Leave it behind. Walk away from it. Not with bitterness, not with regret, not with shame, but with gratitude, with honor, with celebration. Thank it for what it taught you. Honor it for how it shaped you. Celebrate it for where it brought you. And then leave it. Because where you're going, you can't take it with you. Where you're going requires a new identity, a new capacity, a new level of faith, a new degree of courage, a new measure of strength. And you can't access those things while you're carrying the weight of who you were. You can't reach for new while your hands are full of old. You can't run toward tomorrow while your feet are planted in yesterday. So make a decision today, right now, right here. Decide that your last success was beautiful, but it wasn't final. Decide that your last victory was significant, but it wasn't conclusive. Decide that your last achievement was impressive, but it wasn't ultimate. Decide that you're just getting started, that you're just warming up, that you're just beginning. And when you make that decision, everything changes. Your energy shifts, your focus sharpens, your passion reignites, your hunger returns, your fire rekindles, your edge comes back, because you're no longer a curator, you're a creator. You're no longer a preserver, you're a pioneer. You're no longer a historian, you're a history maker. And history makers don't look back, they look forward. They don't talk about what was, they talk about what will be. They don't celebrate what they did, they anticipate what they'll do. Because they understand that the best is always ahead, that the greatest is always coming, that the most significant is always next. Your last success is your biggest enemy, only if you let it be. Only if you worship it, only if you settle for it, only if you become it. But it doesn't have to be. It can be your greatest teacher, your strongest foundation, your clearest proof, proof that you're capable, proof that you're ready, proof that you're called. And if you're called, you're equipped. If you're equipped, you're empowered. If you're empowered, you're responsible. Responsible to keep going, responsible to keep building, responsible to keep creating, responsible to keep becoming. So I'm calling you out of your comfort zone today. I'm calling you out of your satisfaction. I'm calling you out of your complacency. I'm calling you into your destiny. I'm calling you into your purpose. I'm calling you into your greatness. Stop being a prisoner of your past success. Start being a pioneer of your future impact. Stop managing what you built yesterday. Start creating what the world needs tomorrow. Stop protecting your reputation. Start pursuing your revelation. Stop defending your position. Start discovering your purpose. Because your last success was never meant to be the end of your story. It was meant to be the beginning of your legacy. And legacy isn't built on one victory. Legacy is built on a lifetime of victories. Legacy isn't created in one season. Legacy is created over many seasons. Legacy isn't established with one achievement. Legacy is established through continuous achievement. And you have more achievements ahead of you, more victories waiting for you, more successes calling you, more impact assigned to you, more legacy designed for you. but you'll never reach them while you're sitting on what you've already done. You'll never access them while you're celebrating where you've already been. You'll never experience them while you're protecting who you've already become. You have to move. You have to grow. You have to evolve. You have to transform. You have to become more than you were. Become greater than you've been. Become everything you were created to be. And that journey starts today, not tomorrow, not next week, not next year. Today, right now, this moment. This is your moment. This is your time. This is your season. Don't waste it protecting yesterday. Use it creating tomorrow. Don't spend it managing the past. Invest it building the future. Don't lose it defending what was. Seize it designing what will be. Your last success is only your enemy if you choose to make it one. Choose differently. Choose better. Choose greater. Choose to see it as a stepping stone, not a stopping point. Choose to use it as a foundation, not a ceiling. Choose to treat it as a beginning, not an ending. And when you make that choice, you'll discover something beautiful. You'll discover that your greatest success isn't behind you, it's ahead of you. Your best work isn't in your past, it's in your future. Your most significant impact isn't in what you did, it's in what you will do. So rise up, stand up, wake up. Your destiny is calling, your purpose is waiting, your greatness is ready, and your last success, it was just a trailer. Now it's time for the main feature. Now it's time for the real show. Now it's time for your masterpiece. Go, create it.